Welcome back to The Perspective. We're still talking to Captain Imron Siregar, the head of advisory board of the Indonesia Aviation Network. So your interest, your passion in becoming a pilot has never waned, not a single day, that even if you were not working as a professional pilot, you rent out planes to just make sure that there's insatiable need for you to be up on the air, to be airbound.
It's a passion, and the need for pilots.
Is that one of the values? What kind of values you try to instill to the young, or the pilot would be when you walk into the Flypass Academy? What do you tell them?
Number one is actually number one is always safety. Number two, safety. Number three, safety. Number four, then fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't forget to have fun.
Don't forget fun, because if you don't like what you're doing, then what's the point of becoming a pilot? And that's actually, it's related to safety too. If you're fun, you get less stressful,
right?
And you're enjoying, you think better, and then you dedicate yourself for that. You don't take any drugs, you don't drink so much, you don't smoke so much, because you want to keep your body and spirits healthy as possible.
But Imron, this is not the first case whereby a pilot is under the influence of whatever substance that interferes with your carrying while you're carrying out your task. One couldn't help to think this must be a very stressful job for a person to resort to other means, trying to help them either more relaxed or less stressful. But maybe you can help us better understand.
Okay, in terms of the stress level and everything, the aviation is very heavily regulated industries. For example, that they only can work certain hours a day, which is very short. And then in terms of the
this is to maintain their health condition
and mentally and physically. And in 1 year, they don't fly more than 1,000 hours. In 1 month, they cannot fly more than 100 hours. So it's actually it's less. You work less. Then after work, you have to manage your life, so that you're well prepared on the next duty.
So now suddenly you have more time not flying than you do flying, and what do you do with this free time?
I do interview with you.
But yeah, I mean, is this one of the I don't know, time management is an issue here for young pilots, perhaps?
Time management is a lifestyle. It's once you commit that you want to become a pilot, then actually you have to sacrifice all the other things that is not related to aviation, especially the one that is creating more dangers or hazard to your occupancy. Then so you have to eliminate this.
Right, right. So that's perhaps is one of the perspectives that you can give us on why pilots seem to be resorting to substances or recreational drugs in order for them to.
I would say not only pilots. It's just that's in the lifestyle in young people and also old people. We are not old anyway, so but in Indonesia is become like that. And if you see the drugs problems and other things that is really going not things that you don't find in the 10 or 20 years ago. Now it's happening.
Right. So. Now, Tekad Purna was flying an Airbus A320, flying from Juanda, Surabaya, bound for Jakarta, with a flight of QG800 with over 150 people on board. But of course, he was replaced. But later on in the investigation, it was learned that this was not the first time that he was actually caught incoherent and incohesive and was slurring. And then he's been sacked or dismissed by AirAsia as well for the same issue. Now this is the bigger question. Two big questions here. Are we short of really dedicated resources, a talent pool in aviation? And what of the recruitment system that we are adopting? I'm not just talking about Citilink, but I'm talking about the aviation industry in general, in making sure there's a fact check, there's a track record checking.
It's aviation industry in the world or Indonesia?
Yes, Indonesia.
Yes, Indonesia, okay. Actually, currently we have about 800 or 900 unemployed, just graduate pilots, but they're not a qualified pilot to fly the Airbus.
Okay.
Yes, the lack of pilots, qualified pilots, especially captains in this case today. But
there's a very small number that.
Yeah, to tell you the numbers exactly, I don't know, but I would assume it's like Citilink become like 5 or 10 aircrafts a year. So I guess they need at least 40 to 50 captains
To fly the Airbus A320.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's Citilink alone. I don't know about AirAsia, Garuda,
other
Lions.
airlines. Right.
So, but to tell you the truth, there are many potential pilots in Indonesia, and Indonesian are actually, for me, easy to teach Indonesian to fly. Then the problem is, how do you teach them? You know, you have to exercise a real training system that is very universal, not just one shot with 100 hours and then you graduate those people. Those not airline ready. It's called airline ready pilots. Yeah.
Right. So then, so you mean to say that there's a gap between the current pilot who are ready to fly Airbus, for instance, with the pilots who are
just graduating.
Yeah. How long? How big are we looking at this gap here? How many hours do they have to pocket before they're able to fly the Airbus?
After they graduate from Flybus, they have to endure another course, type rating course, the Airbus 320 or Boeing 737. It takes about 6 months to make them
6 months.
6 months to make them a co-pilot in an Airbus.
Right.
And from co-pilot to captain probably takes 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it is also said here that the Tekad is actually one of a very talented and brilliant pilot, that he actually moved from being a pilot into a captain in a short time during his time with AirAsia. So what is your theory behind that? What happens? And then there are statements from his colleagues saying that he changed as soon as he was appointed as captain. It all just unraveled. It all changes.
Yeah, things that happen. But first of all, just like you say, this is not the first time. And interestingly, a week after this case, we found also intoxicated pilots in Canada.
Okay.
And it's not the first time in North America or in Europe. Yeah. But
I guess it happens everywhere in the world.
But how you handle it, that's the question. And how we prevent it for in the futures.
Right.
So if you see, the public's not panic in North America. In Indonesia, it's go panicking.
It made huge headlines.
So it's the role of government to keep the publics aware of the situation correctly, and not increasing the panicness or and then don't make any impulsive policies and regulation. And so, because of this is not the first time, it can happen everywhere.
Right. It can happen again.
Yeah. So how you handle it, how you enforce it. So there's two kind of things, right? Error and violence. Error, people make mistakes. Everything they can accidentally even you use a mouthwash like one of the brand there, and you get alcohol test, you get positive on that thing.
Right.
That's not a violation. That's an error probably. But violation is you deliberately do illegal things. Then you need the enforcement. Not the other way around. Sometimes the government is the other way around. They enforce things to the errors. There's common errors and then
not into the violation.
Enforcement. So if you see the Canadian one, you see the other way. The police just took it and that's it. Case closed. And I think that's one of the contributions why the public there's not panic.
Because they know the government is being swift
doing their
about
confidence with the government's enforcement.
Right, but we can also say the same, that this Tekad case was swiftly handled by the Citilink and the government. Our transportation minister stepped down and said this must be done, and making sure that Citilink is doing something about it.
Yeah.
Down to the fact that Burhan, the CEO of Citilink, stepped down, like you said earlier, a commendable and applaudable action. Now, but what are we doing to prevent this? I think that's also a part where the public needs to know how can we prevent these kind of incidents from happening again in the future?
Yes, I think first of all, have to start with the government. Governments should implement the safety management system like they do it universally, not the policy like you have to have a face-to-face briefing, a medical test every flight in a day. Can you imagine how many stations in Garuda from London, they have to have one doctor every day? It's not common there's no, they don't practice that with Singapore Airlines, Qantas, even all those big airlines, they don't do that. They don't check, they don't have a doctor just to test a pilot there. But maybe they do a random check and they do it properly and do it correctly, so that people get aware. The safety is not something that you actually have to do it second after second, but you have
maintain
to
only when the doctor is there.
Yeah.
But at all times.
But you have to create the culture.
Right.
That's you have to create the culture.
Yeah.
And if you create the culture, then you every time you act, every time you step, you think about safety.
Yeah.
When I step into this building, I always look, in
Where's
case
the
of
exit?
fire, where should I go?
Right.
Yeah, that's
Right.
they have to be like that. So when the pilot want to do something like drugs, they have to think, what if this, what if that? Then they already built in the safety system.
Is that the kind of culture you are cultivating it with in FlyBest?
Yes, we are trying our best.
Okay.
We are trying our best.
But you can't do that alone. You need, like you said, stakeholders need to also
stakeholders, the
put their heads in
government,
there.
the industries, and the media also.
Yeah.
Media. That's why we in JAPRI, the Indonesian Aviation Network, actually would like to conduct a training for the journalists, because actually this is very important part of the system that can educate the people.
That's a good idea, and we'll talk more about that. And also, a question that I'd like to ask you: it doesn't stop with Citilink having to act swiftly and the government, but we need to also ask. The Juanda Airport authorities was also responsible in letting this happen, because the pilot actually got onto the plane in his incohesive and incoherent condition. But we'll talk more about that when we come back. Stay with us on The Perspective.